Okay, so second video back. Hope you liked the review about the battery chargers and whatnot. On a completely different note, we go back to one of my other staples every now and then that I do. Fitness, which is something I've been doing, well, most of my life now, when you consider my age, which is a closely guarded secret. One of these things that you get is obviously fancy little devices that people keep coming up with to exercise body parts in different ways that perhaps might not necessarily be reached by other conventional means, such as push-ups and weights and so on and so forth. If you're wondering what the hell this thing is, well, you evidently didn't read the title, because this is a grip strengthening device. I've had this for a few years and I've used it off and on. It's a bit of a weird one. You can usually get some of these in pairs of two, one for each hand, but this is this very specialised piece of kit which you only use one-handed anyhow, and the whole idea is that you are supposed to be able to increase your grip strength by just squeezing this several times around. And unlike other devices like this, which just usually have a very small spring around there or some sort of a weird thing that you just sort of end up squeezing in some of the records. I'll put photos of what I mean, because it's a difficult thing to describe. It looks almost like a pair of pliers, but not quite, but with just a round little bit of metal that you sort of end up squeezing around as you do this. Whereas this has an actual spring, which is a lot harder to work compared to those other models. And it also has ways to increase and decrease the tension. This can go from anywhere from having to apply 10 kilograms of grip strength to 40 kilograms of grip strength. So if you want to take it relatively easy, you just unscrew it like this, and at some point this thing here will go down to the 10 kilogram mark. It will take its time, of course. We could of course put elevator music on, but just to show what I mean, there, see, at that rate it's going a lot quicker and easier, and as you tighten it up it gets a lot more difficult to do, because that's the purpose of it. It's to build up the strength in your hand, or hands, more specifically in the nice noise, more specifically in your forearms, because it is actually your forearms that provide most of your grip strength. Now in reality, your forearms will still get a workout from any kind of weight training or push-up training based approach that you might adopt. But you can see how long this takes to actually wind up in one position to another. You get a workout in its own right just from tightening and loosening this thing up. Good God. Yeah, that's it. That's at 40 kilograms. So remember how loose it was earlier? Yeah, that's a lot more difficult to do. And of course you can flip it around and do it on the other side. But I digress from what I was saying earlier. Most of your grip strength really comes from your forearms, and they are going to get plenty of workout from lifting weights if you are a weightlifter, a bodybuilder, powerlifter, or doing any other kind of weight training. And if you do push-ups, again, that's the same sort of thing. It's going to exercise the forearms in that regard anyhow. Not to the same degree as the other muscles, but if you are wanting to build up your forearms, there are plenty of muscle building exercise routines specifically targeting the forearms. The top side of the forearm specifically is a very difficult area to build up anyhow, unless you're doing very specialised training. But something along these sort of lines is designed to increase the grip strength anyhow. So if I bring my forearm into play here, you can see how things are pulsing around here. Yeah, that looks really good, especially under the bright lights and my pasty skin. I'm the palest thing this side of Vlad being paler. Yeah. Right, so there we go. And again you can see a bit more on the other side of the arms as well. Hey, so is this actually worthwhile getting? Well, you wouldn't necessarily have to be using this all the time, and there are other variations you can do, such as building your strength up that way, by turning it the opposite way on. Okay, so that your four fingers are getting more of a workout that way than they would be otherwise. But yeah, sadly it doesn't do anything for the thumb, but the thumb tends to get a lot of exercise anyhow from general gripping anyhow. But again, it's the forearm muscles that are really being worked more than anything else. Your fingers will get sore. Notice how the blood is rushing into and out of my knuckles where they're getting trapped from the pressure and whatnot that I'm applying. Yeah, it is decent, and you know, there's nothing stopping you from buying one of these, especially if, say, you've had some sort of injury and you need to regain the strength in your hands. Something like this would help anyhow. You might not necessarily be in a position to do something like weight training to help build your strength up, outside of perhaps maybe one of those rehab machines that you sometimes see, which is basically what a lot of gym equipment is anyhow. If you see things that basically support the weights for you, things that are on pulley systems and so on and so forth, they are basically very similar to some certain types of rehab equipment that you might see in hospitals and so on, just to make sure that people are building up their strength as safely as possible. But something like this can certainly add to the strength of your grip anyhow. Doing pull-ups will also do the same. It's just another variation. You could sit at your desk at work, for example, if you have a 9 to 5 desk job, and in between whatever it is you're doing at your desk job, if you want to have a bit of a break from the monotony of your everyday job and want to work on your grip strength, yeah, you could do something like this just for a few minutes. I will say this though, it is making a bit of a mess on my set, but yeah, there you go, the strength grip hand thing. Bit of an oddity. It does work. I'm not convinced it's going to build massive muscles, but it will aid your muscle development to a certain degree, or redevelopment, or physiotherapy and so on and so forth. But don't take my word for it, go and check with a physiotherapist. That is ultimately, at the end of the day, just an assumption I would make about this sort of thing. Something that can be done to help people who need the help, and also, you know, let people who want to get a bit stronger grip do just that. In fact, there is footage somewhere of people doing things like pull-ups and whatnot by using just their fingertips inside special hanging devices. So they might have rings suspended from a bar, they might have wooden pull-up bars that just have areas in where they are literally hooking their fingers in and then doing pull-ups that way, or even just one finger per hand to do pull-ups. Usually that's people like mountain climbers who need the extra grip strength anyhow, so if you're a mountain climber, yeah, this is probably ideal. I will say that the rubber here seems to be, it's okay, but I'm pretty much convinced the more I do this, yeah,